Welcome back. In previous video, we set up Next.js project with database or initialize Next.js project with a database MySQL. Now, after creating database, you want to create a table in a database and retrieve information. So for that, in Next.js, you need to know three terms when you use Prisma. So first term is a model, and the second term is a migration, and the last term or the lastly is the Prisma client. Sorry for the handwriting. Now, when you create a model in Prisma, think it is the table of the database. And the term migration is used when your model is transformed into a real table in your database. And then lastly, Prisma client, which allows you to perform a CRUD operation. So, which means you can create a data or you can create a record in a database and retrieve record, update record, and read a record. Here we will first build a model, then we will perform a migration, and after that we will use a Prisma client to retrieve the data from the database. Now let's create a model. So open the file schema.prisma in your Next.js application, and to create a model, you need to specify the first keyword as a model. Then after the keyword model, you need to specify the name of the model. So here we are going to build a model named product and then specify the curly braces. And remember, when you specify the model name, it should be in a Pascal case, which means the first letter of the model name should be in a capital. Now this model is going to contain a different field. So a product is going to have a field like a ID, and the type of this ID will be int, which means this field is going to store the integer value. So specify the int as the data type. Then make sure that you have the extension Prisma that you see here. So go here, search the Prisma extension, and then install this extension. And after installing this extension, come back here. Now, as you know, each product is going to have a unique ID. So if you remember from previous tutorial, we created this product page which contains a multiple product. And as you can see, each product has a attributes like a image, price, and name. So here we need to define a field like a image, price, and title or name of the product. So here each product must be uniquely identified in your table. So for that, here you are going to specify @id. And when you specify this attribute, this means this column is going to be a primary key column of the table. So if you remember, model is like a table in your database. So in your database, each table is going to have a column, and that column should be a primary key of the table. And you can specify the primary key column of the table like this by using this @id. Now next, we have the product price. So let's specify here column or field of the model, and the type of this field is a float. And next, we have the product description, and the description is going to store the string value or text. So the type of this field or this column will be a string. And if you are confused about int, float, and string, this is the data type coming from the Prisma. Now we define the structure of the table as a model in the schema.prisma file. Now to create this product table in your MySQL database, you need to execute a certain command. So to create this table, open a terminal, and in your terminal you need to specify a command. So specify the command npx prisma migrate dev, then double hyphen, specify name. After that, specify the migration name. So here we are creating a product table. So specify create product table. Now here the command npx prisma migrate dev. This command checks your schema.prisma file, the file where you have defined your model like a product. And if you made any changes or if you create new model, what it does, it generates a migration file and applies to your development database like MySQL. So after this, double hyphen name option, this option is specified to give a migration name. So here double hyphen name and create product table, the name you give to this migration. So when you execute this command, npx prisma migrate dev, a migration is created. To specify the name of that migration, you use here a name attribute, and after that you specify the name of the migration that you want to give. So this helps you remember what this migration is about, and in this case it is creating the product table. Now here hit enter, and you can see here your database is now in sync with your schema. So whatever model that you defined in the schema.prisma file is now sync or is now created, or whatever the changes that you made to this schema.prisma file applied to your real database like a MySQL. So if you remember, I told you that when you execute this command, npx prisma migrate dev, it create a migration file. So if you look here in the Prisma folder, there is a new folder named migration, and expand this folder. And here you can see there is a folder named create product table, and that is the same migration name that we have specified while generating the migration file. And as you can see, before this name there is a timestamps, and you can see this is the current timestamp. Now as you can see, it contains a migration.sql file. Let's open it. And when you open, you can see here, this is the command which create a product table in your MySQL database with this column like ID of type integer, price of type double, and description of type varchar. And as you can see here also, the ID is the primary key. And why this is primary key? Because in the schema.prisma, here we have specified attribute at ID. Now let's go to the MySQL database and see whether table is created or not. Now come back to here MySQL workbench, and let's view all the databases. Type here command databases and then execute this query, and you can see here our database e-commerce that we have specified here in the env file URL like a e-commerce. Now let's specify here use e-commerce, and after that let's view all the table. So tables, and you can see here the table is a product. Let's view the structure of the table. Describe product, and look, we have defined 3 field in the model, and you can see ID, price, description, and this field is a similar to the field that we have defined in the schema.prisma file in the model product. So now you have confirmed that a model is a table of your database. Also you can see the ID column is the primary key column of this table and type is int. So this is how you can create a table in your database using the Prisma in a Next.js. So here we have defined 3 fields in the product model. Let's say that we want to add one more field named image, which will store the URL of the product image. Also, let's say that you have created a product table in your database, and in this table you want to add one more column named image, which will store the URL of the product image. So in your product model, just go and specify here a name of the field, which is the img in this case, and the type of the data this field is going to store. So in this case, it is going to store the string, which is the URL of the image. And now to add this field to your actual table in your MySQL database, you need to again execute that command. So here, let's delete this one and create new one. Now type here npx prisma migrate dev, then specify the name of the migration. So here we are adding a new field to the table product. So specify here add img, then field, and hit enter. And look, it is saying it created a new migration. You can see here add img field, and let's go to the migration folder here, and look, it created this migration. And open this file, and you can see here it is a SQL command to add a new column to the existing database. Now let's go back to the MySQL workbench, and let's again execute this. And now you can see the new field image to store the URL of the image. So this is how you can modify the model in a Prisma to add the field or remove the field. Now, if you want to know more about the model in Prisma, go to your browser and here type a Prisma model, and then click on the first link, and this page will explain about a model. And you can see each model represent entities, or it is a map to the tables in your relational database. So to create a model in Prisma, so you will need to use the model blocks and then specify the fields that you want to include in your model. And you can see model is a map to the table, or if you are using a MongoDB, then that is mapped to the collection. So on this page, you will find a more detailed information about a model. And one thing here I want to show you, you can change the behavior of this field that you include in the model. So for example, sometimes you want to include a default value to the column of your table, and you can do that using this attribute add default. So let's see, come back to your schema.prisma, and whenever you add a new record to your table product, you want to automatically add a ID for that record or for that product. So for that, you can provide a default value by specifying the attribute add default. And in this case, this default has a function auto increment, which will automatically add a unique ID to the each record or unique ID to the each product that you add to this product table, and specify that function here auto increment. Now you made changes to this schema.prisma file, or you made changes to this product table. You need to sync these changes, or you need to align these changes with your database. So for that, again, here you need to run the command npx prisma migrate dev. Let's run that command. Type here npx prisma migrate dev, then migration name. So here add default value like this, and hit enter. Now new migration file is created, you can see here, and the name of the migration is add default. Let's open the migration file, and you can see the field ID is a modified to auto increment. This is the SQL command. Now let's go back to the MySQL workbench. Now describe the structure of the table, and now you can see there is a new extra attribute auto increment. So this is how you can create a model using Prisma to create a table in your database. So till now we learned how to define a model, which is a table of the database, and how to create a migration file and apply that migration file to the database. Now let's use the Prisma Client to create, update, or delete data to the database. So here you don't need to create a Prisma Client separately. When you run the command npx prisma migrate dev, after applying migration, it also create or generate a Prisma Client that you can see here. So here you will need to know how to use this Prisma Client to interact with database. So let's go to the browser, and in the browser type here best practices for Prisma Client and hit enter, and open the first link, scroll down, and you see here the code. Copy this code and come back to your Next.js application, and within a Prisma folder create a new file and name this file dbclient.ts. And in this file, paste all the code that you have copied. So here, you don't need to know about this code. Just know that this code allows you to create a single instance of a Prisma client that you can use anywhere in your Next.js application. Now let's see how to use this Prisma client in our API. So go to your API folder and here open the route.ts file, and as you can see here we are creating a new product, and then we are pushing this product to a product array. Instead of this, here we want to insert this product or insert this new product into a product table in our database. So first, here at the top, import the Prisma client. Import Prisma, and as you can see, this is coming from dbclient.ts file. So import it, and now you can use this single instance to access the database table or perform an operation like create, update, delete. So to create a new product, you can specify command like await, then specify the Prisma client, then dot, and as you can see, it has a bunch of functions. Or also at the bottom you can see this is the product table that we have created in our database. So let's access it, and after that specify dot, then specify create or access the create method to create a new data. But right now in this tutorial I'm not going to show you how to create a new product or how to create data in your database using this Prisma client. We will learn in a next tutorial because it is going to be very lengthy. So let's recap here what we have done in this tutorial. In this tutorial, we learn how to create a table using the Prisma model in a Next.js. So here we define the structure of the table through the model, and as you can see, this model contains a different field. These fields resemble to the table of the database. Also, we learn how to specify a default value for a column using the @default attribute, and also learn how to make any column as a primary key column of the table by specifying the @id attribute. Now to transform this model into a real table in a database, we learn we need to use the command npx prisma migrate dev, and with the option name, we can specify the name of the migration. So when we execute this command, it does two things. First, it creates a migration file containing a SQL command that is executed on a specified database engine. So here we use the MySQL database. So it creates a migration file and apply the migration to the database. So it creates a table named product containing the following columns. And then we also learn we can modify this model and then apply a migration or make a changes to the database. After that, we learn how to set up a Prisma client that allows us to interact with the database. So I hope that you understand what is a model, migration, and Prisma client. So at last, I want to say, don't forget to subscribe my YouTube channel, and thank you.